In the last few years, we have seen many very popular rides close all across the world, including Kingda Ka, once the tallest roller coaster on Earth, Nemesis, one of the most iconic roller coasters in Europe, Thrill Dragster, which was basically the same as Kingda Ka, and so many more. But here's the thing, all of these famous rides that have closed in those past few years didn't just disappear and were demolished, they actually came back. Sometimes as completely the same ride, sometimes as something extremely similar with added features, or sometimes as something completely different that still pays homage to the previous standing ride. And it got me thinking, these rides being so loved and so popular to the point where the park chooses to keep them around and rebuild them in a way, is that stopping these theme parks from progressing on with bigger and better rides? And is the nostalgia from these old rides killing these theme parks? Today we're going to go fully in depth into that question and hopefully come to some sort of an answer. So make sure you watch till the end, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already, and make sure you donate to my charity challenge where I'm riding Rita 100 times in a row at Alton Towers in aid of the Alzheimer's Society. Link in the description. Pushing that aside, nostalgia. What does it even mean? Well, I'm making this video so I know what it means, but in case you don't, the dictionary definition basically states it's a sentimental longing for the past, typically for a period or place with happy personal associations. So it's pretty much just remembering something fondly because you have a slight personal connection to it. And theme parks are literally full of nostalgia because you go to said theme park when you're a kid and then you go again when you're a bit older. You drag your mates there even later. And then one day you might even be taking your own kids on the same ride your parents took you on, which is a terrifying thought, but you get the point. And on top of that, literally every single ride or roller coaster at a theme park could be the ride in which someone in the world overcame their fear of rides or became obsessed with rides on that exact one. So there literally could be someone out there that has a personal connection to this thing. Or even, somehow, this thing. And for example, those rides to me are the likes of Nemesis at Alton Towers, because that was my first sort of ride that got me over the fear of coasters. Or even Air next door, that was my first actual sort of big coaster. And I mean, I still refuse it to call it its new name, Galactica, which means I'm maybe not helping this nostalgia standpoint. But even the likes of Big Dipper at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which is over 100 years old. So not that I rode it on opening day or anything, because I don't think that would be the case. That ride serves as such a core memory in my brain. Going on that as a kid, I remember it so well. But say one of those coasters that I've just mentioned, or one of the coasters that you have a connection to, the park they're at announced that they were going to close forever, you'd probably be quite gutted and upset. And the parks definitely know that, because they're not just going into it thinking, oh, we're just removing a piece of steel, it's no big deal. They know for a lot of people that they're actually removing part of their childhood, which is exactly why, instead of sort of just demolishing it and saying nothing about it, so many of these parks have started doing that sort of middle ground halfway option of rebuilding, retracking, or reimagining these old rides and keeping something of that original alive, paying homage to it. Which brings us back to the actual question of this video. If a park's newest, biggest projects keep being bring back the old favourite but better, is that nostalgia stopping these theme parks from progressing further? Well, some parks have proven what you can do if you go and build brand new things, replacing fan favourites and crushing everyone's hopes and dreams of it sticking around. For example, like with Kingda Ka, I guess. The world's tallest roller coaster at the time, which stood at 456 feet tall, the Six Flags park that is at decided with absolutely zero announcement that they would just close the ride and absolutely obliterate it to make way for a new coaster sort of in its space. I mean, the park claimed that Bakunawa isn't actually a Kingda Ka replacement, but it bloody well looks like it is. I mean, it's basically got a super fast launch into a massive, almost 400-foot element. It's very similar in concept. But despite Kingda Ka's popularity and the fact that everyone absolutely loved that ride and wanted to keep it around forever, Six Flags didn't decide to retrack it the exact same. They didn't want to put like an LSM swing launch on it and keep the majority of that iconic ride. They took that risk and designed something completely unique, which did come with its fair share of criticism online, but I for one think the new ride looks insane and is probably going to be much better than just a retrack or refurbishment of Kingda Ka. And most importantly, it's probably going to draw in a lot of new audiences to that park, which keeping the nostalgia and just retracking it may not have. I mean, talking of demolishing rides that are very iconic, Universal in general have been known to do that so often, and they have proven that these old iconic rides can be replaced by something so good that everyone just forgets about its predecessor. Take, for instance, Dueling Dragons at Islands of Adventure, two awesome looking inverted roller coasters in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. Where that is now Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure. And I don't think anyone's complaining about that. And literally, as I speak and as you are watching this video, Universal are at it again with their Studios park with Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, another very iconic ride that closed last year to now make way for a brand new ride, that being Hollywood Drift. And all the track is now up for that. It appears very different to what the old ride used to be. But like with Hagrid's replacing Dueling Dragons, they're building something bigger and better and moving on, leaving the past behind. And not really paying any homage to the previous ride there, unless maybe there's an Easter egg in the queue or something. But Disney are doing this at the moment as well, replacing the likes of the Rivers of America, which, oh my god, when that got announced, the amount of backlash they got for that, and various other rides that were very popular with brand new ones. Some parks like Disney and Universal think that those new rides they've got planned will completely outdo the old, so they don't really have to keep them around. But some parks at the minute, when their ride has reached the end of its life, have decided to stick completely and solely with that nostalgia and love for it, and instead of closing the ride forever, they close it for a period of time where they rework it and refurbish it by literally just replacing the tracks that it runs on and maybe the train and reopening it like nothing ever changed. And this is where I do think nostalgia might start killing theme parks. Because you have these classic rides across the world, there's a lot of wooden roller coasters that get this. We've even had it here in the UK with the big one and even Colossus, although the retrack for that didn't fit, so rest in peace. And many other steel coasters elsewhere, such as the Hulk and even Dragon Khan. Much as they are all amazing rides in their own way, literally spending millions to take down the track of these iconic rides, then just replace it with the exact same layout with no added theming, no added story, no new name. That is the peak of keeping nostalgia in theme parks, and it just makes me wonder how long these rides are going to go for. If they've decided to retrack them now, are they going to decide to retrack them again in another 20 years? Will these rides now just last forever because they just don't want to get rid of it? I mean, the perfect example of doing a retrack right, Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point, that closed for a prolonged amount of time, and because everyone was sat there going, no, you can't remove Top Thrill Dragster, they felt that their only option was to completely redo it into the aptly named Top Thrill 2. That added a huge swing launch element to it and spike, which sure does make the ride very different to its previous version. I think that is the perfect way to keep nostalgia within an iconic ride, but make it different and unique enough that it feels like a totally new ride. Busch Gardens might have a similar instance to that, although we don't really know yet, with Kingda, their B&M sit-down roller coaster that closed literally less than a month ago. And as it's such an iconic ride and the fans are already saying, oh, why are we getting rid of it? It was so good. They've already gone in and announced before anything has happened to the old ride that Kingda's Revenge will be replacing it, and it will still keep around those iconic parts of Kingda. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a total retrack and just the same exact layout, but there is still that point of if they actually decided to remove Kingda entirely and build something unrelated and brand new, could it draw more guests in and be more beneficial for the park? We'll never know, I guess. But I genuinely think, especially recently, when it comes to nostalgia and keeping old rides very similar and changing them slightly to keep it around and keep those fans happy, whilst also giving them a brand new look that feels like a brand new ride, there is no better park for it than Alton Towers. Because I don't think before this year we've had an entirely new concept or ride in years. Yet the park's visitor numbers keep going up. I mean, you can start in 2023 when the Curse at Alton Manor opened, which replaced the old indoor shooter ride Duel, and it pretty much just took the ride back to its roots and evolved on the story from the original haunted house. And I mean, that was missed by fans originally when Duel came in, so bringing that back pleased many long-time Towers goers. And then the year after, they went and reborned Nemesis, the B&M inverted coaster, and they basically did a full retrack on it rather than demolishing it. And the park literally stated themselves that they were faced with the decision to literally retrack it or rip it down for something new. Everyone said no. So I just don't think Towers wanted to do that, because I think it would have upset a lot of people. And I mean, you think it stops there, but Toxicator opened in 2025, which as much as it's this brand new top spin and it's a different style of that model and it looks very different, it purely echoes Ripsaw, the old topspin from the late 90s, that if Toxicator faces this way, Ripsaw used to face this way in the exact same place. But as much as, again, there is that argument that they could have built something bigger and better if they did get rid of it, I feel like I've said that 3,000 times already, all of these projects I've just listed have had something new about them, and they've completely reborn what used to be of them, and for that, I think, again, nostalgia here has been kept perfectly, because it feels like a new ride, but it isn't. And I feel like that's the best way to go about keeping nostalgia in our parks. Some other good examples of this being done worldwide, the likes of Dance Macabre, which of course is sort of a follow-on from Spook's lot. There's various props and theming and story elements from that are now in the brand new Dance Macabre. Even a roller coaster manufacturer, RMC, they intentionally redo wooden roller coasters that are a bit rough and rattly and not very good, and make them into some of the world's best roller coasters, whilst keeping their iconic heights, maybe even part of their name, but making it an entirely new experience, and all of those are just perfect, except from the leg restraints on them, because they bloody hurt. And I think that's what needs to happen more. Not wooden coasters being steelified, but rides and roller coasters people absolutely adore, not just being reworked or retracked into the exact same thing, but being developed into an entirely new experience that feels totally new, but pays homage to the old ride in the correct places. So with that being said, is nostalgia killing theme parks? I personally don't think that nostalgia is killing them outright, but I do think if nostalgia keeps playing a part in a lot of these parks' decisions, we might not see as much unique investment as we would like to see in these theme parks. They're holding on too tightly to those older iconic rides, and sometimes you just gotta take a risk, implode your roller coaster that everyone loved so much, and build a monstrosity. And yes, I guess you could take that old coaster and then redo it, give it a completely new theme, but then later down the line, how many times is that then gonna get reborn? And then if we continue to see these rides just replaced with the exact same thing, with no new name, no new theming, anything like that, the parks are just going to become the same lineup for the next however many years, and as good as some of those coasters are, it's just going to end up boring. So hopefully we see more investment later down the line that doesn't hold on massively to that nostalgia, because I don't think it's killing theme parks right now, but I definitely think in the near future it could start killing each theme park's lineup, as we need to see some new stuff, you know. And from that point, the question then turns into, is nostalgia good or bad? And to that, I will leave you to decide. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more speculation content, or whatever this was, like this. And talking of reimagining old beloved attractions, go and check out this video on screen where I take the UK's oldest roller coaster, Big Dipper at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and turn it into that RMC roller coaster type. It's got like inversions and airtime hills. So much better than the original, if I do say so myself. Go and watch it.